Welcome back to Biology Domination, your 30-day NEET 2026 crash course. Day 13. We're stepping into the world of photosynthesis in higher plants, and I promise you, this chapter is not what your school teacher made it seem. This is not just sunlight plus water gives glucose. This is a two-stage, quantum-level energy conversion system that powers every food chain on the planet. Today, we will cover every single concept that NEET has tested, from the exact absorption peaks of chlorophyll to the 3-carbon trick that C4 plants use to cheat photorespiration. Stay locked in. Let's go. Let's start with photosynthetic pigments, and this is where NEET loves to drop trap questions. Inside the chloroplast, there are 4 main pigments. Chlorophyll A, bright green, absorbs at 430 nanometers in the blue region and 662 nanometers in the red region. This is your primary pigment. It is the only one that actually performs the photochemical act, the actual splitting of water and release of energy. Then we have chlorophyll B, yellow-green, absorbs at 453 and 642 nanometers. Xanthophylls, yellow, and carotenoids, yellow to orange, and they also protect the leaf from photooxidative damage. Now, here's the NEET trap. The action spectrum, which shows the rate of photosynthesis at different wavelengths, almost exactly mirrors the absorption spectrum of chlorophyll A. That is direct proof that chlorophyll A is the pigment driving photosynthesis. These pigments are separated using paper chromatography. The solvent moves up the paper, and each pigment separates based on its RF value. Carotenoids travel the farthest. Chlorophyll B moves the least. Now, the light reactions. And I want you to draw the Z-scheme as I explain it, because this is guaranteed NEET territory every single year. The Z-scheme involves 2 photosystems, photosystem 2 and photosystem 1. Yes, 2 comes before I in the sequence. That trips everyone up. Photosystem 2 contains the reaction center P680, P for pigment, 680 for the wavelength that absorbs. When light hits P680, it gets energized, kicks out an electron, and to replace that electron, it splits water. This is called photolysis of water. 1 oxygen molecule is released for every 2 water molecules split. This is where all the atmospheric oxygen on Earth comes from. The electrons then travel down the electron transport chain, through plastoquinone, then the cytochrome B6F complex, then plastocyanin. As electrons move through this chain, especially at plastoquinone, protons are pumped into the thylakoid lumen, building a proton gradient. This gradient drives ATP synthesis through the enzyme CF0-CF1 ATP synthase. The process is called chemiosmosis. The electrons then reach photosystem 1, reaction center P700. Here they get a second boost of energy from light, travel through ferredoxin, and finally reduce NADP+ to NADPH via NADP reductase. So the outputs of non-cyclic photophosphorylation are ATP, NADPH, and oxygen. Now, cyclic photophosphorylation. Here, only PS1 works. Electrons cycle back to PS1 itself. Result, only ATP is made. No NADPH, no oxygen. This happens when NADPH is abundant, but ATP is needed. Now for the Calvin cycle, also called the dark reactions or the C3 pathway. These happen in the stroma of the chloroplast and use the ATP and NADPH produced in the light reactions. The cycle has 3 stages. Stage 1, carbon fixation. CO2 enters the leaf through stomata and combines with a 5-carbon molecule called RuBP, ribulose bisphosphate. This reaction is catalyzed by the enzyme RuBisCO, ribulose bisphosphate carboxylase oxygenase. The result is an unstable 6-carbon compound that immediately splits into 2 molecules of 3-PGA, 3-phosphoglyceric acid. This is the first stable product. Remember this. NEET has asked this multiple times. It is 3-PGA, not glucose. Stage 2, reduction. The 3-PGA molecules are reduced to G3P, glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, using ATP and NADPH from the light reactions. Some G3P molecules exit the cycle and are used to build glucose and other organic molecules. Stage 3, regeneration. The remaining G3P molecules are used to regenerate RuBP, consuming more ATP. This keeps the cycle running continuously. For every 6 CO2 molecules fixed, which gives you 1 glucose, the cycle consumes 18 ATP and 12 NADPH, and the enzyme RuBisCO is the most abundant protein on the entire Earth. Think about that.
This is where it gets really interesting, and where NEET separates toppers from average scores. C4 plants like sugarcane, maize, sorghum, and amaranthus have evolved a special trick to avoid a massive problem called photorespiration. They use the Hatch and Slack pathway. The key structural feature is Kranz anatomy. The vascular bundle in a C4 leaf is surrounded by a ring of large bundle sheath cells, which are then surrounded by mesophyll cells. This two-cell arrangement is unique to C4 plants. In the mesophyll cells, CO2 is first fixed by the enzyme PEP carboxylase, and this is huge. PEP carboxylase has no oxygenase activity. It only fixes CO2. It will not react with O2. CO2 combines with PEP, a 3-carbon molecule, to form OAA, oxaloacetic acid, a 4-carbon compound. This is the first stable product in C4 plants. OAA is then converted to malate or aspartate and transported to the bundle sheath cells. There it is decarboxylated, releasing CO2. This CO2 now enters the regular Calvin cycle, fixed by RuBisCO. So essentially, C4 plants pre-concentrate CO2 around RuBisCO, preventing it from ever reacting with O2. The result? Zero photorespiration. That's why C4 plants are supremely efficient in hot, bright, low CO2 conditions. NEET trap alert. In C4 plants, the primary CO2 acceptor is PEP, not RuBP, and the first stable product is OAA, not 3-PGA.
Photorespiration. This is the dark side of RuBisCO. RuBisCO is a dual-function enzyme. Normally, it acts as a carboxylase. It fixes CO2. But when oxygen concentration is high and CO2 is low, which happens in hot, bright conditions, RuBisCO switches and binds oxygen instead. This is the oxygenase function. When RuBisCO binds O2, RuBP reacts with oxygen instead of CO2, forming a 2-carbon compound called phosphoglycolate. This compound is then processed through the peroxisome and mitochondria, eventually releasing CO2, but producing no ATP, no sugar. Carbon is completely wasted. This is why it's called photorespiration. It's a light-driven respiration that wastes fixed carbon. It can reduce photosynthetic efficiency in C3 plants by up to 25% in hot conditions. The 3 organelles involved are chloroplast, peroxisome, and mitochondria. NEET has asked which organelles are involved. Remember all 3. C4 plants completely avoid this by concentrating CO2 around RuBisCO, keeping the CO2 to O2 ratio high. Cam plants, like cacti and pineapples, open their stomata only at night to fix CO2 as malic acid, then close stomata during the day. This prevents water loss and photorespiration simultaneously. Blackman's law of limiting factors. This principle governs all of photosynthesis efficiency, and it's directly testable in NEET. The law states, when a process is conditioned by several factors, its rate is determined by the factor that is present in the lowest relative amount, the limiting factor. Factor 1. Light. At low light intensities, the rate of photosynthesis increases linearly with light. But once light saturation point is reached, adding more light doesn't help. Another factor is limiting. At extremely high intensities, photoinhibition can actually damage the photosynthetic machinery. Red and blue wavelengths are most effective. Factor 2. CO2 concentration. This is the most commonly limiting factor under natural conditions. The atmosphere has only 0.03% CO2. Increasing CO2 up to about 0.05% significantly boosts photosynthesis. This is why greenhouses pump in extra CO2. Factor 3. Temperature. Photosynthesis is enzyme-driven, so temperature matters. The optimal range is 25 to 35 degrees Celsius. Above 40 degrees, enzymes begin to denature, and stomata close to prevent water loss, which ironically also blocks CO2 entry. Factor 4. Water. Water has both a direct and indirect effect. Directly, it is the substrate for photolysis in the light reactions. Indirectly, water stress causes stomata to close, reducing CO2 availability. Remember, at any given moment, the single most limiting factor determines the overall rate. And that is photosynthesis in higher plants. Done. Completely. Let's do a rapid-fire recap. Chlorophyll A is the primary pigment, absorbing at 430 and 662 nanometers. Light reactions happen in the thylakoid membranes. PS2 fires first, splits water, releases oxygen. Electrons travel the ETC, build a proton gradient, drive ATP synthesis through chemiosmosis, then reach PS1, which produces NADPH. The Calvin cycle happens in the stroma. CO2 is fixed by RuBisCO onto RuBP, making 3-PGA first. C4 plants use Kranz anatomy and PEP carboxylase to pre-concentrate CO2 and eliminate photorespiration. CAM plants fix CO2 at night as malic acid. And photorespiration is the wasteful, oxygen-triggered breakdown that C3 plants suffer from in hot conditions. 5 neat traps to burn into your memory. First stable product C3 is 3-PGA. C4 is OAA. CO2 acceptor in C3 is RuBP. In C4, it's PEP. Cyclic photophosphorylation makes only ATP. Photorespiration involves chloroplast, peroxisome, and mitochondria. And action spectrum matches absorption spectrum of chlorophyll A. If you understood all of that, you are miles ahead of the competition. Tomorrow is day 14, respiration in plants. Drop your toughest doubt in the comments. I read every single one. See you tomorrow.